Hello guys, welcome back to Shane. On today, we are going to be reviewing Stranger Things 3. So, not much to say. Go check my other Stranger Things content. I reviewed the first two seasons and ranked both their episodes, or all of their episodes, not together in separate videos. The test is coming up, and so that means there'll be more videos after it than normal. Blackadder review, Stranger Things 3 episodes ranked will be coming soon. Also, Fantastic Beasts and the Crimes of Grindelwald review will probably coming relatively soon. Werewolf by Night, I haven't had time to get to that. I haven't even watched it yet. So that's kind of what's going to come in the near future. And without further ado, let's get into this. Starting off with what the season's about. The season leaves off from season 2, where the Upside Down is locked away from them. There's no way to get to it. And all of our characters are a year. I think this took place a year after season 2. Max and Eleven are better friends now, and are like good friends now. And Hopper is still taking 11 in, and the characters are kind of in a new stage of life, I guess. So the season kind of starts off with a bit of a lighter tone, sort of, and then this traverses kind of quickly into like an Invader the Body Snatchers kind of plotline involving this mind flayer creature. Yeah, and then there's this whole thing with rats that kind of starts to build up to this monster coming up that's taking over bodies, essentially. And the Billy character is sort of at the center of it. He's the one that kind of starts this whole thing. Now we have the good. And starting with the good, I think the thing I like, there's kind of two big things. First one, I like how the season goes a bit lighter. The second season got a bit darker with the whole dummy dog plotline or whatever you call it. So, and it got kind of dark as they're kind of taking over Hawkins. This season, it starts off and we're just kind of spending, not the opening scene, but after that, we're just spending time with our teenagers for 3 episodes with some intriguing stuff building up involving Billy and this creature and whatever, or in these rats and a bunch of these characters. So I like those elements of it. That's all I'd say. A lot of fun for the most part, and it does take a bit to get going. I don't love those first few episodes, but I still like them. They're good enough, I guess. And then after that, episode 5 and on, fantastic. As we learn what's going on with this Russian base and what they're doing, as we learn about the whole thing involving the Mind Flayer, and as it kind of comes up, and what's going on with then all the scenes we get with the creepy scenes we get with that creature, that's all a lot of fun, especially as we get to the ending with the battle of the Starcourt Mall, and you see the full-on battle. It's just so much fun, and I think a very lively finale, I guess. Just a great way to end the season. Episode 7's great. I love the whole thing with that little Terminator plotline. Oh yeah, that's another thing. This season has a lot of 80s references. There's a bunch of fun to be had with that. I love the whole thing with the whole Terminator plotline. It is a bit too much of a copy, especially even the gloves and the jacket are the same. But it's just so fun that I kind of forget that's literally a copy of the Terminator. But it's just fun to have that kind of character in this whole thing, and his death with him sending him through the thing was very satisfying. And then also the whole scene where in episode 7 where they come out and then it's showing a Back to the Future. As a big fan of that movie, it made my top 14 movies of all time. That's just so much fun. And then it kind of pays off a little bit at the end of the season where he's like, my favorite movies are that one with the DeLorean or whatever. And I was like, yeah, that's how revolutionary the movie was. So there's also some hints of Fast Times a little bit kind of thrown in there. So all of that, just so much fun. I think this season's probably the most fun one we've gotten so far. Even though it's not as much about the characters, about more of the story going around them. But just because of all the 80s references, and as a big fan of 80s movies, I personally really enjoyed that. And just made for a very fun season. I think most of the characters, for the most part, I'd say are good. I think Dustin, as he introduces this little plotline involving this girlfriend, or this supposed girlfriend, Susie, and how that kind of pays off in the finale. I think that works really well. And the whole thing, now they're kind of getting a bit older. They're not just kids anymore. They're just playing Dungeons and Dragons. They're full-on teenagers that are talking about girlfriends and whatever. So I think the progressive nature of that, I think, works very well. And yeah, not many problems. I think this what they do with Steve when Robin. Actually, there's another thing. There's a bunch of moments in this season where like they kind of subvert your expectations. First, I think first one is the whole thing with Robin and Steve, where I think the introduction to Robin, I think she becomes a great character, and I think she gets even better in season 4. And I think the whole thing with that is you kind of expect them where like there's this even like this scene in I think it's episode 7 where like they could decide to become boyfriend girlfriend whatever, but then they don't, and as they're just gonna stay as friends, and I think kind of subverts on that kind of trope that's thrown in there. And I think for what it is, I like that they did that. I don't think it would have made that much sense, because especially with the character like Steve where he's kind of picky, so I think that works well. And then I think the whole thing with the Alexei character, I think the introduction to him is a lot of fun, and what they do with him, where they another situation of subverting your expectations where he's sort of, I guess he's kind of in there and going into that Murray's place or whatever, they're interrogating him, and then what happens is he's given the car to go to like 7-Eleven, get another Slurpee or whatever, and then it subverts your expectations. That's just gonna get away. He decides to stay with them because he knows that his past survival and his death was handled relatively well, where he's killed by the Terminator guy. So yeah, just a very fun season overall. Had a great time with it, but it is not without issues. Now with the mix, and I'm just gonna keep this within under a minute, and that's sort of the character progression of adding characters in the show. It starts to get a little bit too many characters. I thought season 1 and 2, one of really felt a little shallow when it comes to characters, but not really an issue against the season. Season 2, I think, had the perfect mix where you add in characters like Bob, Max, Billy, Murray. I think Murray was added in season 2. I don't remember if he was in season 1 or not. And then mixing with that is the whole Demi plotline, also the 11 episode Rangers, the whole sister plotline. Well, it's not really a sister plotline, but you know what I mean. So it kind of has the perfect balance. It does take away some characters, specifically Bob. And then this season, I think, just kind of starts to add a bit too many, and then there's a bunch of there's a lot of side characters as well. So now we're adding Robin. Now we're promoting Lucas's sister to a higher role, I guess. Now we're adding the Dustin's girlfriend plotline or whatever you want to call that. Now we're adding this Terminator guy. Now the mayor's becoming more. It just starts to become too heavy, and some characters get pushed to the back burner, specifically Will, and I'll talk about that later. But it's just the way it just all plays out, just kind of frustrating. But I think I like having it in like a summer setting, therefore they're not worried about school, so yeah, I guess that works. So I don't think it gets too much. I think season 4 is when they really start to kind of go too far with it. I'll talk about that later, but this season I think handles it pretty well. I think handles it decently well, but I think the first 2 kind of the perfect balance. This is where the balance kind of starts to go off of it. And the second thing is that the progression of the fact that now the season is becoming, or the show is becoming, now the show is kind of sort of becoming less about the characters and more about the plot going around them. So it's like, I mean, it's still about the characters, but compared to the first few seasons, or first 2, it doesn't quite feel that way. Like the first couple episodes I say are about a bit more about the characters, but like it's only about them. It's not really about the situation going on around them. But then as the season goes on, we're doing Invader the Body Snatcher sort of, and it's all kind of flying around, kind of going around our characters. Yeah, it's not really about how they react to things. It's sort of just kind of going through the motion, and not a bad thing, but like it is. And the way just some things play out as the season goes on is just like, I kind of just missed that when it was about our 4 characters, and because they're all split up again, just like in season 2. Not done as badly. I think it was done better in this season because he's with Steve. I think Steve and Dustin kind of have a fun broship together, but it would have been nice to have more moments with all of our 4 characters. We only really got all of our 4 characters together in like the first episode, and it wasn't even that much time. So just a bit frustrating. I don't know, but still, I don't think this really takes away from my enjoyment of the season, but it's just kind of a minor thing. Now the bad, and start off the bad, I think because they start adding more characters, now some characters are becoming side characters, specifically main characters. Will doesn't really do much for like the first 3 episodes except just be the guy that's kind of annoying in the sleepover as he wants to do like Dungeons and Dragons or whatever, and then Mike and Lucas want to just chill and sleep or whatever. So the way that plays out, yeah. And Will is just kind of just at a state where like it's just kind of annoying. It's not really needed there. He's just kind of there to just fill out the cast and doesn't really do that good of a job at that, I guess. I think Billy, I like what they're trying to do, but like it just doesn't really work in the end because part of the problem is he's like kind of his personality in the first episode, and then they kind of take that away at the beginning of the second or the end of the first. I don't remember, but then at the end of the season they give him a little redemption arc, which I think actually was a good right scene, but then they just killed him off, and it's a little frustrating because we didn't get to see fully good Billy, and it is what it is, but they could have done that better. I mean, I don't know how much longer they could have kept him alive, but maybe have it so then he, I guess Vecna killed him in season 4. I don't know. So something like that. I would have been okay if he died in season 4, but wait till after he kind of fully progresses or something. I don't know. But still, I think the season's a lot of fun. Anything? Oh, yeah, the first 3 episodes, I mentioned they were enjoyable still, but really, all they really do is just get Billy kind of into motion, and then the whole sauna test part of episode 4 is really when things start to kick in, and then it doesn't let up until the end. But just those first 3 episodes are kind of irrelevant, and you could probably just skip scenes in them. Honestly, they don't really matter the season, but that's where all the character stuff is. So it's just the way the season's structured. I'll even say season 2 was pretty well structured for what they were trying to do, even though things could have started a bit earlier. But like, with the exception of the 11th episode, I think for the most part the season was pretty well tightly packed. Or I mean, season 2 was. Season 3 kind of spreads things out a little bit more, and it's just a little frustrating when that kind of just starts to happen. And it's not a huge issue. It doesn't really bother me that much, but it's something you can kind of point out there, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, I really enjoyed the season. I had a lot of fun with it. I think I liked it more than season 2 because I just had a bit more fun with it. But thank you guys so much for watching. Share your thoughts on this season in the comments below. Let me know what you thought about the show. I might put a poll up saying which seasons are the best. And yeah, not much to say, but yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Adios.